Thanks for reminding me.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here and just kind of quickly talk through what Culineer is and the opportunity that we have. You guys see that or no?
I don't see it yet.
Okay. Good.
Now I can. Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so Culineer is where local farmers and home cooks connect. And it took us a while to figure out how to say exactly what we're doing, because this is something completely different from anything else that's been put out on the market. But that's the best way to say it. It's really a community. So when you look at the statistics and the research out there in the marketplace, you'll see a lot of studies that come in around 93, 85%, somewhere in that range, where consumers are really looking for transparency around their food. They want to know they want to have a relationship where the source of their food, and they're not satisfied at all with what's going on in the grocery store. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but like even in the middle of summer these days, the grocery store is carrying hothouse tomatoes. And it's just not what people are looking for. They're looking for fresh local ingredients. So they're turning to the farm directly, and they're buying from farm boxes, which would be like somebody who's going around to farms and picking up a variety of products that are being produced that week and harvested, and maybe a mix of meats, cheese, and vegetables. They might be subscribing to a CSA, and this is where we're really targeting first because they have a ready audience for us to tap into. And then you've got the farmers markets. And when we talk to consumers and we talk to farmers, the struggle crosses all three of these channels. And when we looked at the research that came out of the University of Colorado at the end of 2020, we were able to put some numbers behind us. This is a $70 billion market. This is huge. This is bigger than the global box office industry. This is, if you're at all familiar with the online grocery delivery to your home, it's about the same size, but it's just not getting the press. So I like to say that this is a quiet movement where farmers and consumers, there's a growing number of local farmers that are, I'll tell you about them before we get into this, into the business. The customers that we're servicing are smart, young, tech-enabled, and motivated by sustainability. The millennials and the Gen Xers are really, really interested in the experience, and some of them are going into the farming world to make a difference with regenerative farming, and some of them are just buying this way. So together, there's this huge movement toward buying local, sustainable food. And the upside potential of this is tremendous for both our environment and our human health, as well as food insecurity. Because if you think of what's been going on, we've industrialized our food. We've industrialized how we process it, how we ship it. And it's not worked out well for us. So the problem though, and this is the problem that we're addressing. So we have this huge movement. We've got lots and lots of people moving into this space for good reason. But when they do that, they don't know what to do with it. And it's because we haven't had generations buying local ingredients and not wasting. We have people buying from the grocery store stuff that was shipped from across the globe. And that's what our reality has been for the last few decades. So now, as people move to buying local in-season ingredients, they get stuff that they don't know how to prepare it. They get stuff sometimes that maybe more of one thing, they don't know how to put it away for later. And Culineer is a platform to help that framework for that, educating people on how to do this. If we don't, we're going to continue to have this failure. 50% churn every year, and this comes out of Penn State Extension. That's any other business doing that. I mean, there's no way you can survive. And all we need to do is put in an educational piece to solve this problem. That's what's so beautiful about this, is it doesn't have to be some expensive packaged goods that make this happen. We just have to teach people how to eat like they did generations ago, but with a modern technology. So I'd like to open up now and ask you guys if you have any questions before I go forward. No?
I have a question. So can you just kind of unpack a little bit? You kind of described the meta problem, but how does Culineer come in and fill in this gap? What would that actually look like?
Okay, so that's actually perfect because I'm going to go right into the solution. So what we've created is a two-sided platform. In 2021, we launched the consumer side. So if you go on the App Store right now, you'll find a recipe app that has some community functionality for people to save their recipes, shop their recipes, share recipes. And what we're launching next weekend is the other side of the platform, which is our pro version, which has community. So if you think of Slack, Discord, Mighty Networks as these communities for businesses, we're doing something similar, but it's really designed for cooking at home. So instead of just a way to connect and chat and share files like you do on Slack or Mighty Networks, you will be able to share recipes and provide updates. And it's both mobile and web. So it's this community-based platform dedicated to cooking at home and buying local produce and meats. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does actually. I just downloaded it myself. I didn't know it was live yet. So that's good to know.
So we launched in 2021. And like I said, it's a two-sided platform because we've got consumers at home that have to, need help. And then we have the farmers who, let's think about what the farmer has to do. Well, I'll go forward. So here's what the farm does. The farmer will subscribe to Culineer. They'll get 2 to 3 month free trial, depending on if they get a promo. They get to we actually will help them set up their profile. And then they can invite all their customers. We make it really easy to do that. We even give them a marketing toolkit. And then they just post the recipes and updates. And we even go a step further. We have 10 recipe creators who are creating recipes for what's in season right now. And we'll grow that. So it's this nice ecosystem of content and people. People who are producing, people who are consuming. And then they'll build that community. The more people we get on this platform, the more value everyone will get. What they're doing now, before Culineer, is they spend, I'm not kidding you, hours searching the internet, trying to find recipes to support whatever it is they're picking or harvesting that day. Then they'll send out an email, and then they might have a website or a lot of them are on social media. But if you think about social media, if I'm going to be successful on Instagram, I need to play the Instagram game. I need to make sure that I'm putting reels up if that's what their priority is. Otherwise, my customers don't even see what I'm posting. So with Culineer, it's not like that. It's an authentic community for real connections with people. And that's so much easier for them. And because it's mobile and web, it's easy for all the customers and everybody to get it whenever they need it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Anybody have any questions? Eric, Mike, Eddie, Stu? Okay. So this isn't something that we just fabricated in a vaporware. We literally spent hours, we spent days and weeks and months talking with farmers. And we have an ambassador group of 10 farmers, in addition to somebody from the Penn State Extension. We're working really closely with the Sustainable Agriculture Associations in the Mid-Atlantic area. We've spoken with the Young Farmers Association to make sure that what we're building solves the problem, doesn't, miss the mark or create something that's going to cause more work. And they love it. They love this. We're getting so much great feedback, and we have currently 40. We don't even have the product in the market yet for them. We have 40 people on our wait list waiting to sign up. So it's really powerful. And the way we make money is we sell a subscription to the farmer. So it's $29 a month, or they can get a discount if they buy an annual subscription. And then in the future, like later this year, we'll start to have some ad revenue. And then we think we'll probably have a premium upgrade down the road, potentially, and affiliate marketing for like kitchen supplies or products that have been finished, like, you know, packaged goods and so forth. So it's a really good business model, and we expect to be generating $1 million in revenue by the end of 2023. Okay, so our growth strategy is this. We work with the farmers, get them signed up, they invite their customers. Then we use what's called product-led growth. So with product-led growth, what we're going to do is make sure that, you know, these farmers network and they work together already. So we want to make sure that we give them incentives to invite their other farms on the platform. And we're going to work really close this year with this launch to make sure that we're providing a high level of value for both the farmer and their customer. And then we'll scale. We'll put money behind advertising. We'll put money behind this promotion for you know, referrals and stuff like that. So our milestone, our Culineer milestone is like this. In 2020, we were all part-time. We all had full-time jobs. We were working on this part-time. We got the product to market. Then the beginning of last year, two of us, a developer and myself, went full-time, and we really pushed hard to make sure that we got this out in the market. And we worked with the farmers to identify and design the profiles for them. Now we are launching Culineer 2.0. We're onboarding farmers, and we hope to have a couple of key new hires that can help us accelerate our growth and to continue to execute. And then we'll continue to assure this value, prepare to scale, and bring in new revenue streams in 2022 and beyond. This is a huge opportunity. So we can become like MailChimp for the farming industry, if you will, because MailChimp is like really well known, or HubSpot. And then, but what we can do is we can work with the farmers and we can expand. So we're going to work with grocery stores and we can continue to expand. Plus, we've talked to people around the globe. This is a global issue. It's not just a US issue. So we know that there's geographic opportunity in Brazil, in Europe, in South Africa, in different countries where we can expand this idea and really become the platform for local food everywhere and the people who consume it. We got a great team. Like I said, I'm full-time. I have Kyle's is a rock star marketer. He's with Snap Kitchen. He's with Kraft Food. He's done a lot of stuff with different companies. Same with Jeremy. And then the dev team, Salorm is in Ghana. It's, you know, we can afford him, but we also have, like, Mike is an equity holder. He's my back-end developer. He's been with us for 3 years. Brian just came back from a stint with NASA. We're so proud of him. So he's doing some more data science. I've been able to recruit some really top tech and marketing talent. I just can't pay them full time yet. And that's why we're raising money and trying to get this off the ground. We've also been exposed. We've also gotten recognition from other outside companies, like the Products That Count Award. We're on the list with Calm. We're in the same, this whole Product That Count, we're in there with Slack and some really major companies, Jira. I'm so happy that we're up there because we're still like building. And then we've had some other recognitions with the Smart Kitchen Summit and the Prepare for VC. So that's where we are. We're trying to, and this is really important. So if you're an investor and you want to invest in a company, what do you want to know? You want to know, is the product, what's the product and does it solve? I hope I've answered that question. Is there enough of a market and can it scale? Well, there's 2 million farms in the US and it's expanding. And we believe that we're in a position to really capture that market. Can you trust the founding team to deliver return on your investment? Those are the 3 things you want to know, right? So a little bit about me as a person. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh. I've got level head. I didn't come from a ton of money, average upbringing, with the Penn State. I have my MBA. I'm extremely driven. Eddie can speak to this. He knows me quite well. When faced with adversity, I get creative and I figure out a way to do this. I mean, I don't know many people from Harrisburg, PA, who can find engineers all around the globe to work for free to build a product, but I did. And it was through a lot of creative thinking and hustle that I did that. And I'll continue to do that to make sure that we deliver. I'm really customer focused. That's why I've been a top sales rep my entire career. I've had several, companies. I've been with several companies like Bristol Myers, 3M, always a top performer, not because I'm the most persuasive, but because I really listen to the customer and I deliver value. And that's what we'll do here. I've assembled teams across different ventures and in academics. And I take my responsibility to the team, my family, and our investors and our customers extremely seriously. And before I took any outside capital, I put my own time and money behind this to make sure that it was worth investing in for somebody else. So, and nobody has more to lose than I do. So I will work really hard to listen to the customer and make sure that we get this right and that everybody gets a return. So with that, I'd like to ask you to invest if you haven't. And if you have, maybe you can forward this to other people and get other people to invest and join our mission. I feel like I'm not talking. I need some feedback. I like dialogue better.
All right, I have a question then.
Okay.
So it sounds like there's a couple of different phases of this build out. You're building this platform, you want to get network effects, and then you can slot in all these different income streams. Is that accurate?
Well, our first income stream is through subscriptions. And with that, we can get with 500 farms on the 3,000 farms on the platform, which is what we're shooting for next year, 500 this year. So 3,000 farms on the platform, we're at $1 million in revenue. But there's 2 million farms out there. So we know that the total potential is about 700 million just in farm subscriptions.
Wait, slow down a moment and walk me through the math again. They're paying how much a year? 300?
$350 a year.
Okay. And you're looking to get how many in the first year?
500.
Just 500 farms. Okay.
Yeah, because we need to start, the wheels turning.
Okay. And then you're gonna add e-commerce at some point?
What we want to do with that is partner with the companies that are doing that quite well. It's not off the table for us, but there are some companies that are primarily regional players. That's the e-commerce comes in as a regional solution, and we think that we can partner with all of them across the country so that we have this we solidify that relationship all the way through for the farmer.
That would be like cooking equipment and
So
chef
it'd be like
knives.
barn to door, does e-commerce delivery, home delivery. We're actually talking with one out of the Midwest right now that also has a marketplace for local farmers to sell to local consumers. But there's a lot of logistics behind that. So I'd be careful. There's a lot of expense behind that business model because they do the delivery piece as well. And I think we're in a better position to stay as a marketing platform and partner with those supply chain companies.
Okay, makes sense. Yep.
Jody, you want to take off the, there you go.
Thanks.
For those, I'm not sure, Stu, Mike, Eric, Patrick, also never met. Just quick background. Hey, Stu. I've invested, I've had the opportunity to invest over the years. I'm in the food and beverage business. So I've had 40 years experience. And over the last 30 years, I've invested in multiple startups, approaching probably 30 different companies, all in the food and beverage space. When I met Jody and her concept, it took a while for me to just sit and listen And it took quite a while for me to watch her evolve to the point where she is with Culineer as a CSA. And actually, the moment she did that, and she called me, I remember one morning and said, I've decided to transition and build the company around CSAs because there's such a big point of a pain threshold there. There's nobody focused on that. And the market was so big. Jody, if I'm not mistaken, I wrote you a check that day. So the point was, she is in a space right now, I've spent years in consultancy with the top 100 food companies in the United States, 8.5 years with Coca-Cola as a branding expert. When I moved my company to food and beverage investing, it was all early stage and startup. And although she was beyond startup, she was still early stage, it's still very, I mean, I know companies in the food business that are 300-400 million, and the industry still calls them early stage and startup. So it's a very bizarre word in the terms of investing. But where she is, she's right now, she's done all the heavy lifting and all the heavy financial lifting. Now everything going into supporting her is going to be used for growth, acquisition, and pretty much to grow the business out and start revenue generating. So I've invested already twice with her, and I believe that Jody's really onto something. I'm currently invested in probably about a half a dozen other businesses at the same time in various stages that I've been involved with, and I see a lot of potential for Jody.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? Stu, did you have any comments?
Well, I'll just jump in and thanks for the presentation. And I think probably a little bit like Ed, I'm listening and trying to get a sense of the potential. I've certainly, as a customer of a CSA at one point in time, and I have a lot of friends that are in small farming and whatnot. So I definitely understand the need, and I get the issue with the churn rate, which is a huge opportunity. I'd love to hear a little bit more, Jody, if I could, about the feedback you've gotten from the farmers that you mentioned just kind of briefly, just to get a sense of the types of things that they see in Culineer. And then the second thing is, I'd love to hear about what consumers are saying about it and what they see as the value in the platform. And also, thanks, I did just download it as well. Like I'd forgotten, I think Patrick had mentioned something about that too. So I'll look forward to exploring that a bit. So I'm just kind of listening. I love the idea. I like what I've heard so far. You seem like a real go-getter, which is great and necessary at this point in time. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about the feedback, what the customers are saying.
Yeah, I just put on our campaign page, I redid the pitch and I included a dialogue with that. I can actually share with you a panel discussion that we had at the Smart Kitchen Summit, which is like 40 minutes long. But essentially, what happened was we didn't have our go-to-market strategy. This is how we were stumbled into this. Our go-to-market strategy during COVID was sort of foiled because everything I thought we could do, we couldn't. You know, yeah. I had people, I like your cup. I had people like, I thought I was going to be hanging out at coffee shops and soccer games, right? Talking to moms and stuff. And the data scientist, Brian, the one who went to NASA, he said, Jody, he said, you know what? He said, I just picked up my CSA box and people were said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff. And he said, I think we have a prime opportunity. So then we just sort of got the USDA list of CSAs and sent out an email. I didn't have a marketing plan. I didn't really know what this was going to look like. I was just like, hey, let's just like see if they want to start a community on Culineer, because it already had some community features that they could use. Well, it was overwhelming. We got a call from a company, a farm in Minnesota. I have 3,000 customers. I've been looking for something like this. I spent X number of hours every single week trying to provide recipes, answering the same questions. And I really just need to be out there like picking my stuff and planting. And then the same thing happened with a couple companies in New York. And I was like, oh, these are anomalies because they're so big, they're not your typical CSAs, but they just kept coming. So then we took a pause and we started to really talk to them. And the one thing I would say I'm surprised by is how many of them are meat CSAs. I thought they were going to be mostly vegetable, but there's a lot of sustainable agriculture, livestock farmers who really, really, really get into this, which was the one thing I was surprised by. But consistently, they're out there, they're fixing pipes, they're wrangling animals that got away, they're feeding, they're planting, they're fixing equipment, and then they come back and they have to sit there and create an email and create some sort of engagement with their customers. They don't have the time for it. And MailChimp is great for small businesses. Google for recipes is great for finding ideas on what to make for dinner for yourself. But to do that every week to keep your customers engaged isn't enough. And they love the idea that it's mobile, it's in they can have it in their phone, in their pocket, and they can go. Now, we haven't introduced this to the consumer, but we do have some really, really loyal consumers. We have 50% open rate on our emails. We've got really great engagement. We've got thousands and thousands of recipes being added on a regular basis. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes with the consumer. But my sense is they're buying from the farm. They want to be successful. They're frustrated, and so I think they're gonna adopt this quite easily, and we'll make sure that works well. So I don't have all the answers right now. I think we have to test it.
Yeah, and I know how that goes. I mean, you're in a good space, and there's an issue, and you're trying to figure out how to best solve that. So I get that. I mean, you see a problem that the farmers want to be focused on, not on their farm, right? So, but are you providing content to the farmers, or are they providing the content and you're just providing the platform? Where's that dividing line? I don't have a sense of that yet.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way it works is there's three things that can happen. The farmer can upload their own recipes. That we are providing unique recipes every month for them to have, so they don't have to go look for new ones. We have there's one, my favorite, there's a couple. There's one lady who was on MasterChef. There's another one who worked at the Greenbrier, and he's in West Virginia. He's working with farmers there. The farmers are actually introducing some of these people to us. So these recipe creators are creating original content, and we'll have a private collection for the farmers to tap into and put in their profile. Plus users, this is really where it gets powerful. The users, the members of the community, can share recipes with other members. So it really is a community sharing of recipes. So for instance, let's say I belong to, my farm is Jade Family Farm. And let's say I found this great recipe for radishes, and we've been getting radishes for the last 3 weeks. I can upload that and share it with the community. So it's bringing it all together in one place.
Yeah, the CSA I was a member of, one thing that they did that I really appreciated is with each of the bags that you'd pick up, they would have a recipe for what was in that bag that week.
Yeah.
And so, at different places, different seasons, different farmers are all going to have different needs that way. But that ability to link the produce, and in this case it was vegetables, like you were saying, but meats as well, with the recipe was very helpful. Yeah.
So the downside of that is it gets lost in an email, it gets buried in a blog, or it gets lost in your kitchen. So this becomes a dynamic, growing, evergreen library. So the pressure isn't to come up with a new recipe every week. That helps them a lot.
Do you think that the 50% is due to recipes, or is it something else?
When you look at I have a link to Penn State's extension. A lot of it is not recipes, but not knowing how to prepare a specific ingredient. I know for myself, I got torpedo onions. I was like, I'm an adventurous cook, never heard of this. And I didn't know what to do with it. So, and again, going back to radishes, last year, I think I got radishes every single week. Like, what do you do with radishes? So that's where it is. It's like the volume of one ingredient and the introduction of ingredients that I'm not familiar with. That in generations past, my grandmother would have said, this is what we do with that.
Yeah.
But today we don't. Because we've forgotten how to cook. For the last 50 years, we've been industrializing our food system, and we have this lost knowledge. So Culineer provides that new platform to connect people who know what to do with those that don't, so that we can all get better at it.
Great. And gosh, we certainly need to have the local produce and whatnot. And the third week of radishes is a big problem. It's like, geez, what are we going to do with it? It kind of brings up another question, which is there's a powerful aspect to it potentially, which is getting the feedback from the customer as to what the farmer should be doing. Like, gee, last year we got 8 weeks of radishes or whatever the thing may be, or in kohlrabi. That's really not what we want. What we want is something different, and I have a feeling that one of the big disconnects in the 50% really has to do with the farmers not necessarily meeting customer needs. And I think there are a lot of different needs that are there, one of which might be recipes. But my guess is that it's the 50% represents a lot more issues than just what do I do with radishes, but maybe like, I didn't really even want radishes in the first place. And that's why I've moved on, is because when I got to this CSA, I thought I was going to be getting X, Y, and Z. And part of that is I don't know what to do with X, Y, well, Q and R, but and I really wanted X, Y, and Z. But part of it is, I'm not quite sure, but I just think there's more to it than just the recipe.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I've been focusing on sharing recipes and information, but there is in the short-term pipeline, that data, that their feedback to the farmer. And in the community platform for the farmer, it's not just sharing recipes. They can do that now on Culineer with Culineer 1.0. It's the community, it's the dialogue, the chat. So now we can have that two-way instant communication, very much like you would have on like a instant message or an SMS. But instead of it getting lost in your chat, it's part of this community where other people can see it. So the answer goes to everybody, not just to one person. So there is that dialogue, that community that happens so that everybody can be successful, and people can belong to more than one community. So if you belong to a cheese or an egg CSA, or a vegetable CSA, or beef CSA, you can have multiple ones that you're a member of. So it's these communities are going to bubble up and be supportive of each other. And it's not just the recipe, although that's a key component that we can't get on Facebook groups or Instagram. So we're bringing together pieces of like Slack or Facebook groups, and then a recipe app, and then connecting. I have a link to my store. So right in there, if I'm going to sell, I can sell right to my store, right through Culineer. The customer can just hit that URL and it'll take them to their store. Even though we're not providing e-commerce, we give a link to that. So it's going to help with what is currently fragmented and disconnected all in one place.
Yeah, I expect there's a lot of interesting things that'll bubble up out of this.
And we're open.
And I think you're going to be discovering them left and right as the platform gets going. I mean, I think a big one is going to be just like with entrepreneurs when they're getting started. There's this need to be able to connect with other entrepreneurs, just to go, geez, this is what I've been, how did you guys deal with this and whatever. I have a feeling the farmers don't connect as well as they could be either. In some cases they're concerned because they're competitors or whatever. They're at the farmers market, and I don't really know enough about the farming community to be able to talk about that. But this idea of how did you deal with this kind of issue, I think is going to be a powerful part of what keeps people coming back for that membership. And I think you're right to focus on the farmers as the customer, the paying customer. But I think you're going to find a lot of other aspects. And I'll be quiet for now. but I just wanted to say thanks for inviting me. I'm really psyched for you. I'm still trying to figure out the investment aspect of it and whatnot, but I love the idea, and it's really needed, in the world today. We just got to do a better job with local food and stuff. So
We do. I mean, and just to leave this with everybody, California has a water shortage. They're our primary food source for the US. You've got food deserts that are really the result of big profitable grocery stores that don't want to be in very rural or very urban markets where there's not a lot of money. Local farms can serve those way better. And we can grow vegetables, fruit, and meat in every state of this country. We do not have to have empty shelves like we have right now when there's a supply chain issue like we've had with COVID. It's time. It's time to fix this.
Jody, the campaign's at 57,900. What would you need to get to consider this a successful campaign?
I'd like to get over 100.
100,000, okay.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
know,
I'd like to get to 250, but if we get to 100, I'd consider it a success.
Okay. And do you mind if I put your email on the chat in case anyone wants to reach out to you directly who doesn't have it?
Not at all. I'll do it right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if there's no other questions, I guess we'll wrap up, and we're going to be sending this recording out to about 10,000 different people. So hopefully we get to that 100,000.
Great questions. I appreciate it. It helps. I'd rather have questions than me just talk one way. It's so much better.
absolutely.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you both.
You're on mute, Eddie. Thank you.
Stu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was trying to say to you, before we go, if you want to connect one-on-one, to hear some of the reasons that put me over the top on the investment part, or some of the things that I look at or have any questions on that. I've probably been involved with Jody. How early, Jody? Right, just
Hey,
2019,
we started talking early 2020.
2020.
Yeah,
So been a couple of years, if it's of any value.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, Ed.
thanks.
Very
Okay.
much.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.